And I'm delighted to introduce Paul Conroy, the midfielder, to the show this morning. Good morning to you, Paul.
How are you doing, boys? Good morning, Chi. How are you getting on?
Very well, thanks. So we wanted to chat to you, obviously, about the injury. It's almost 3 weeks since that clash with Kerry in Croke Park. I presume you're well underway in terms of rehab, in terms of recovery. You've almost settled into a pattern where you can start to move forward a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just over 2 weeks now post-op. So kind of getting used to the pain a small bit, and it's, in fairness, it's gone down a fair bit since the first week. So yeah, I've started exercises with the physio and seen the doctor a couple of times, and I've been back in around the Galway camp and stuff like that, which is which is great to get back in as well. Been talking to a couple of players as well who, footballers and soccer players as well who've had a similar injury as well before. So I was just on to Seamie Coleman there yesterday, who gave me a shout. So it was nice to hear from him, and he had a very similar injury to myself. So just getting a couple of tips off them boys, which is great.
What did Seamus say?
He just kind of was just saying that he had a very positive mindset straight away, and he found that made an awful big difference. A lot of people were kind of saying to him that that he mightn't be ever the same again or as good as he was, but he kind of used that as motivation to help him come back and stuff like that. So I think he was saying to me that he trained with the first team in Everton 6 months after the injury there, which happened obviously against Wales in March. So it was great to hear from someone like that, and it definitely would, it gives you that bit of motivation to try and get back possibly earlier than than expected, or it mightn't work out like that, but it was good to hear from someone like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair play to him. So just talk to us about the specifics of the injury. It's a fracture on the tibia and fibula on the left, and then there's a hairline fracture on the fibula on the right leg, but you're able to stand on the right leg?
Yeah, exactly. So I suppose I didn't kind of half do it, as well as I'll do it properly while I was going to do it. But yeah, so the right leg isn't overly bad. I can hop around on crutches and things like that, just as long as I can tolerate it myself. So if it's getting obviously too sore, it's time to get off the crutches. But that's just a hairline fracture on the fibula. It feels almost like bad bruising, but when they x-rayed it, there was actually a hairline fracture there. So as I said, the right leg is, it is obviously broke, but it's not half as bad as the left. The left was the leg I got the surgery on, and there was surgery given to my tibia. There was a nail put down the middle of it there. Sounds lovely. And the fibula as well, it's just left to recover itself. But I'm not in a cast or anything like that. And when I'm heading out, I have a boot there that I can put on, and that protects me. So it's not too bad in that sense.
Yeah, because I can imagine what you must have thought when the prognosis comes through that you've broke both legs. I mean, it's incredibly rare. Like, immediately you're probably thinking about your immediate mobility, but having that, it's even a small kind of consolation of being able to hop around on crutches is surely a big difference.
Oh, definitely, yeah. When they say it to you first, it's it's more mentally challenging. Obviously, the pain is there and stuff like that, but you can take things to get rid of the pain or whatever. But mentally challenging, you kind of have to just accept it. So I was in the Mater Hospital there for a couple of days. In fairness, they took great care of me in there, and it's just around the corner to Croke Park as well, which is ideal.
I found it interesting, just already you're talking about the mental challenge of it, Paul, and it's interesting, even something Seamie said to you yesterday, that you'd be 6 months, he was back on the pitch within 6 months, and already you can see your mindsets. Obviously the first few days you're kind of dealing with the issue of in terms of the pain and just getting through the first few days, but you've already kind of a bit of a mindset in terms of looking forward towards how you're going to get back playing and back physically fit in terms of from a football perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's no point obviously feeling sorry for yourself. The first couple of days, as I said, they're tough, and I suppose they're the days that you kind of just have to mentally accept it. And after that, you're looking straight away. You're looking at what can I do, what can I move, what other parts of my body can I do a bit of exercise with. I suppose a danger in these injuries is that the muscles around the injury, I'm sure you know yourself, Mossy, from playing, the muscles around the injury kind of, they become very soft and they become very inactive, and that's a danger itself. So it's important to kind of keep at the other exercise, so whether it be moving the ankle or the quad or the knee or the glutes, so that's the kind of stuff I'm at the minute. And it's grand, that's the only kind of stuff you can control really, so I don't really have any other choice.
Paul, what's your recollection of the incident itself? I'm sure the pain is just excruciating at that point, so you can't recall a whole pile, and it's fairly blurry, but of what you can remember, what's your picture of what happened?
Yeah, I just remember it was I suppose if you remember the day, it was very wet and very skiddy in Croke Park. So I just remember a ball coming across from the sideline, and it was kind of a 50-50 ball. And I suppose the way the weather was, if it was a dry day, I wouldn't have slid in, and I suppose Sean O'Shea probably wouldn't have slid in the way the two of us did. We just kind of slid in with our legs sort of in front of us, and his knees hit my shins, but it very easily could have been sort of my knees hitting his shins. It was just unlucky for me, I suppose, and lucky for him. And then I just looked down then, and I kind of seen a lump sort of sticking out somewhere where it shouldn't have been, and I said to myself, okay, I'm in trouble here. I better stay down and not try and get up. So the medical team were on then straight away and stuff. So in fairness, they get moving fairly quickly when an incident like that happens.
Yeah, like obviously when you see that, you're in big trouble. But what are you feeling at the time? Like, is there an excruciating pain above anything else you felt that suggests that this is a horrendous injury you've just sustained?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me that. To be honest, I don't really kind of remember it being really, really, really sore. I think the body just sort of goes into shock. Like, it was obviously sore at the time, but I think it's just trying to take your mind off it, And I had a couple of people come over to me, and they were just kind of chatting away to me at the time, and they were like, just breathe and breathe. And they gave me I'm not sure what the name is there, but it's kind of a green whistle you sort of blow into, and I think that takes away a good bit of the pain and stuff like that. So I'm sure it was very, very sore, but I think the body sort of just goes into shock, and I don't know, does it go into kind of protective mode or something like that? Because as I said, I don't remember an excruciating pain, but I'm sure it was there.
It's probably one of those fortunate things. You never want something like that to happen to you, but if it does happen, you want it to happen in Croke Park, where, like that, you see you're getting carried off on the motorised cart, and you're 2 minutes from the Mater Hospital, and you're getting the best of treatment, rather than being stuck at one of the provincial venues, possibly, where you're on the pitch a bit longer and it's harder to get in and out. So I suppose if there's one positive to take from it, from where it happened, that would definitely be one of them.
Yeah, definitely. I think it happened in like the 20th minute, and I had my phone with me, so I actually watched the second half in the A&E department on the RTE player on the phone. So that kept my mind occupied for a while. Funnily enough, you said that actually one of our players, Fintan O'Curran, this happened to him late last year, and it happened to him in a championship relegation game. In a bad wet day out in Connemara. So I think he was a lot longer lying on a pitch. Yeah. Waiting to be looked after and have to wait for an ambulance to come. Whereas in fairness, I was lucky. I was in and out and gone in the Mater Hospital in 10-15 minutes. Yeah,
that is certainly one of the positives you could have come on to for that situation. Like you mentioned, the mentality here and the mental process of recovering from this, and the advice that Seamus Coleman gave you. I presume the fact that Galway are still in the championship is helping with that a little bit. I presume you're in and out chatting to the lads, and you're kind of even just hanging around training maybe, or having conversations with Kevin Walsh that kind of keeps you mentally fresh and keeps you ticking over a little bit. It sort of feels like you're still involved. It's not too detrimental.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people were kind of saying, is it harder because you're in the championship, or it would have been easier if you're knocked out? No, definitely not. It's great being still in the championship. I went in back training there last Saturday for the first time, and now obviously I wasn't training. I was just in with the physio and stuff like that. But it's great. It's great to see the lads. It's great to be looking forward to an All-Ireland semi-final. Obviously the Monaghan game this weekend comes first, but it's a great buzz around. And you can kind of help the lads in maybe doing a bit of video analysis, or doing helping them in a different way than before. And it's great. Kevin's great. He's always on to me, and he's always keen to get me involved in different ways and stuff like that. So that gives you encouragement as well. Instead of just being left aside, if you get me, that's not the way it's been at all.
Is that something that's been a feature of Kevin Walsh's time in charge, that the players are very much called upon in terms of those video analysis chats anyway, that it's kind of a two-way street? It's not the management team preaching to the players, it's conversations happening.
Yeah, in fairness, and I think that's the way forward, really. I think I suppose it's the players' team, really, and the players have to drive it on, because once you go across or onto the pitch, it's the players that are in charge, really, and there's only so much a manager can do. So I think the more that the players take it on and drive things on themselves and take ownership and leadership, then I think the better the situation you'll be in, and the better prepared you'll be on match day.
How is everything in the camp at the moment? I presume they're flying. I presume they're sky high. Obviously, you mentioned this Sunday. Just because you're through doesn't mean you're going to take the Sunday easily. In fact, avoiding the dubs is a pretty big carrot, and I'm sure they're going for the win this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously Monaghan are going to come down fighting for their lives. It's it's do or die for them. But it's something that we've been focusing on all year, and it might sound like all all GA players are probably saying the same thing, but we do generally take one game at a time, and we've only lost one game this year, which has been to Dublin in the league final. You know, and there's no way that we'll be, you know, trying to rest up lads or take it easy this weekend, because you just can't do that in Championship. So you know what, we'll be treating Monaghan with the same way we'd be treating any other game, and you know the result will take care of itself then. And yes, like we're in the semi-final the week after, but still, you know, it will go against what we've been at all year. If we were to try and change things up for this weekend, or try and, you know, maybe put out kind of a half a strong team or anything like that. So we'll be treating it with the same way we've been treating all the games.
Yeah, you mentioned the league final there. How much focus was put on that result, and in terms of analysing that game? Because obviously there was a big break then before the Mayo game and the Championship in May. Like, has that been a focus of improvement this year, that one loss has been held up as something that you can look at and work on?
Yeah, like definitely. I mean, I suppose you'd analyse all the games in areas where you can learn from it, and areas where maybe, you know, you did well and that you're trying to keep doing again. But I suppose that was our first time playing against Dublin really in the last couple of years. You know, we haven't been as successful as you know, to be playing them in the latter ends of the Championship. So, you know, it was a good test for us at a fairly high stage, in fairness. You know, it was great to play them. We played them obviously in Pearse Stadium, but it's probably a different test playing them in Croke Park. You know, we did that, and I suppose to be areas of that game we were really disappointed with. I think they went down to 14 men in the second half, and we never really took advantage of that. But no, like there was definitely a lot of learnings to do from that game, and you know, it was a brilliant test for us, and you kind of see where you're at really when you play Dublin and Croke Park. You kind of test yourself and see where you're at as a team.
To what extent would Kevin Walsh and the lads love to get another crack at the Dubs before the end of the summer?
Yeah, look, I'm sure the lads now would love to get another crack at them, you know. So I suppose we just have to keep minding our own corner until that challenge comes. And you know, if we win this weekend, you know, we'll have a different challenge in the semi-final, and you know, who knows, we might get a crack at them later on in the summer. And I suppose, please God, if we keep winning and minding our own corner, well then I suppose Dublin, there's a good chance they'll come through on the other side, and you know, we might see them then later on in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we let you go, then what's next for you on a personal level? I see you're starting a new job in September, although the injury might hamper your involvement there.
Yeah, so I was supposed to start I'm a secondary school teacher, so I was supposed to start in Galway College in September, but that's not going to happen now for a couple of. I suppose it'll be possibly 2 months first, and then seeing how it goes after that. Then you know, I'm not sure how long it'll be. I suppose you just have to wait to get the confirmation of the surgeon and things like that. But I was talking to the principal and stuff like that, and it is what it is, you know. And there's not much you can do about it. You just have to get on with it, and you know, I'll be trying to recover as best as I can to put myself in the best position to go back working and back training as well, and things like that.
You probably need to be as fit going back into a school as you do onto a pitch. You'll get less sympathy off students than you would off opposition teammates or opposition players. So I'd say you definitely need to be fit going back in there anyway.
Yeah, in fairness, there'll be plenty of slagging now when I come back, and I'm sure a few of them will be showing me the video where I got injured and things like that. But no, it's all good banter.
Can you do most of your rehab now in Galway, or are you backing over to Santry, say in Dublin?
No, so I've been transferred to a surgeon in Galway there, Fintan Shannon, but I would have been I got done in the Mater Hospital by Mr. Murphy, his name was. So he transferred me to Fintan Shannon in Galway there, so it's handy. It's only 20 minutes in the road there.
Right, okay. Well, the very best of luck with all the rehab, Paul. I really appreciate you coming on the show this morning, and best of luck to Galway at the weekend.
Yeah, thanks a million, boys.
Paul Conroy there. Great words there. It's fantastic to hear Seamus Coleman was in touch with him as well. It's almost like, we all know at this point that the mental battle that you face when you face these long-term injuries is almost the hardest part once that first excruciating first couple of weeks is gone. And I'm sure Seamus appreciates what the journey he has in front of him. So it's great to hear that he's getting in touch with him. It is,
it's brilliant. And again, that was one of the things I remember from, it was one of the documentaries, or it could have been Paul O'Connell's book, but I remember there was a vision of him when he pulled his hamstring off the bone and he's on the ground, he's punching the ground, and he was asked after, was it the pain? He said it was nothing to do with the pain, it was the realisation that I wasn't going to play for the rest of the year, and he said I was done, and he says that was what the real pain was. It was the mental anguish of knowing my leg is not going to work, you know, for me to be able to perform. So, and I think that's similar to what Paul, like the physical pain lasts on the pitch, and he's obviously it can be dealt with over the you know, coming hours and days. But in terms of what you're facing into and the road ahead is obviously the biggest one. And sports people, you know, in terms of they rally around each other brilliantly, and it is brilliant to hear. Like, it's kind of testament to Seamus' character that he took his time out to kind of get in contact with him, and hopefully Paul makes a full recovery similar to Seamus.
Yeah, definitely. Did you experience any injuries like that?
Thankfully not to that extent, no. I fractured my metatarsal at the time. I had to get a screw put into my foot, all right, but that was it certainly wasn't at the same level as that. And it was I actually did it, we were training in the winter of, I think it was 2010, and it was snow and we couldn't get any pitches, so we were training on Dollymount Beach. And whatever way I stood into I think it was like a groove of someone's foot, and my foot kind of just did that, and I broke my metatarsal. But it was a January to May. I was back in time for championship, but it was again just up, get a screw put into it. And I think when it was in the warm up as well, and when I was hobbling out, I think a lot of the lads were like, he just doesn't want to do this session here this morning. It was a gale blowing and it was like a sandstorm, but I arrived down the boot a few days later, and they were like, oh, okay, fair enough.